Hey everyone, it's Desiree and I'm here for Spellbinders to showcase their October card kit of the month. Wait till you see what's in this. This is how it'll arrive. That's the packaging. So of course you get the card that's in there that gives you some inspiration and also lists what is in your kit for that month. So first up you get, I forget what these are called. I've always called them beebles, but I was putting them in the knot. So you get some of that. You get some of this watercolor stamp collection. So sentiments and those 3D stickers that are just absolutely gorgeous. Another huge pack of die cuts. Now, I can't go through all of them, but you get 2 of every one. These are amazing. I love digging through them, but there is so much. I know they give you 10 cards that are already scored and folded. They give you 10 envelopes. Let me tell you what, you can make more out of this. You get your double-sided tape. You get your double-sided foam squares. You get some silver thread. You get a few sequins. You get these 3D buttons that are they have a foam on the other side, adhesive. And of course I broke one. Yay me. And again, this is the watercolor collection. You also get these cards. Now these are actually journaling cards. And you get some tags. So they are always great accents. But if you journal, if you have a planner, these are perfect for that. I mean, the things that you can create with this kit are absolutely endless. Between cards and accents for your planners and scrapbook pages, it's absolutely amazing. Here are the 10 envelopes and the 10 card bases. What I do like about their card bases is they have this texture when it comes to their cardstock. So it's not a smooth cardstock, but you do have this texture. You get this beautiful piece of copper mirror cardstock. You get white, a blue, a green, a pink, a dark blue, a gold yellow, and a black. So that's all the cardstock that you'll get. You get a paper pad. Yes, an entire 6x6 paper pad. Now again, when I say this is a paper pad, this is paper. Now, it's not as thin as copy paper, but it's not 110-pound weight. Okay, so it is thinner, but it's great for layering. There are some beautiful designs. Some of them have copper foiling or gold foiling. That one is my favorite. You get a lot in this, and you get 2 sheets, I believe, of every design that's being shown there. Of course, with every one of their monthly kits, you get dies. Now, what's great is you sometimes get this image that you can build. Last month was a Volkswagen bug. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said Volkswagen. It looked like a bug. So the dies here, you get to build a house. So that's really cool. And then you get some extra pieces. There's some feathers. There's a sentiment die that says celebrate. You get that border, that you can create an image with. So a lot of fun with those dies. And I love being able to build with dies. I do like working with dies. You get a stamp set. So you've got some solid florals that'll be great. You have a glass terrarium, some leaves. So very versatile stamp set, and we'll have some fun with that. So that is everything that you get. So I'm going to make 5 cards using this kit. Now, please know, I do stupidly, I'm going to say that, I pull in my Spectrum Noir and some drops, but you don't need them. Everything does come in this kit. So I've already die cutted my pieces. I sped this part up because I wanted you to see the whole process. So I'm taking this black panel, I covered it with some adhesive, and I put it on the back side of my pink. Now, that adhesive is coming through the windows, but there's a reason for that. I did accent my pieces with some vintage photo just to give it some shading, and I do have the rest of my pieces sitting up on my pattern paper there, and I'm going to adhere them. So I have this little accent piece that I used for the roof above that one window, and now I'm just going to put down each of my window pieces. The cardstock that I used did come from the kit, but again, I just added some ink just to give it some shading, so that it could, just give it a little bit of dimension to it when it comes to this piece. So I'm just going through, I'm using my tweezers because these are really small pieces and I have chubby little fingers. I would have either torn one or lost one. So I'm going to adhere those down. The dies also give you a door, and it's a double layered door. So when you actually die cut that piece, the second one that I'll be putting down, you actually have the form of the door in it. Like I'm trying to show there because I forgot I was going to speed this up so that you could see all of it. But it's really cute. And it almost looks like it's open there. You also get a couple fence pieces, so I'm just going to accent those with my vintage photo as well. So now we're going to come back to my normal speed, and I grabbed some glitter from my stash just to accent those windows. Again, I could have probably have used, the sequins. You could have used those. But I just wanted to add something very small. So very minimal supplies. And that's something that I do like about this kit as well. You really just need a pair of scissors. Or a pair of tweezers in this case. And some inks. Because everything's there. I'm going to be using the Spellbinders frame die set that punches those holes going around it, and I forget what it's called, of course, but what I really liked about their frame dies is you had the straight edge, and then you have that centerpiece that you could put in. So if you didn't want to have the pin tuck going around the outside, you just didn't have to use that frame. So that's what's really neat about this nested die set. I'm going to place that down onto my card base. Now, these are the standard A2 side card bases, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but they are side folding. They're not top folding, so they do fold to the side. So, of course, the piece of paper that I chose is a map because I just thought that was absolutely cute. I'm using my foam squares because I could not find the ones in the kit. Again, if you could absolutely see outside of this area that I'm filming, you would all be amazed that I could find anything. So they do make an appearance because I do finally find them. I buried them. So I haven't adhered the house down yet because I wanted to set my fence in place, but I wanted that to sit behind the house. So I'm just going to place those up underneath the house. So I'm kind of like moving it over as I'm placing those pieces down. And then I'll pick up the house and adhere it with the foam squares that I'm going to use. And then that will be set in place. I did choose for my sentiment one of the die cuts from that huge pack. And it says, family matters most. And it does. It absolutely does. So I'm just going to set that right below my house. And that is our first card. For card number 2, I really fell in love with these papers. And this one is just absolutely gorgeous. So I'm just going to use the outside frame by Spellbinders, and I'm cut out the word die Celebrate out of the copper paper and the black. I wanted to set the copper on top of the black. I was trying to have it offset a little bit. Yeah, I just set it right on top of each other because this glue dried really quick for me, so I didn't want to play with it anymore. But you can see some of the black, and that's what I was looking for. I'm going to get my paper down onto my card base because I will be adding a lot of layers or just some layers to this card design. And I didn't want to use my tape runner with everything on top. What I do like about this frame die as well, it's not a full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It is a scant 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So you get this little border from your card base. I found the double-sided foam squares. Yay! So I'm going to use those to prop up this panel. Now, you do not need to use as many as what I did. I think I got a little bit carried away here, but I wanted to make sure that it was secured. So once that's down, I'm going to accent with the other die cuts. What I was looking at was the paper had the florals down on the bottom, and I thought these die cuts kind of matched it. So I was able to create a mirror image in the opposite corner, but also adding dimension as well. I love these blue leaves. I love blue leaves. I love adding blue to my greens sometimes when I watercolor. I just think it's really pretty. So it's not like the typical green. You can cut your die cuts too to give you another shape. So again, just because you have something set, don't think that you can't change that, because you can. You know, you can add a different shape to it or cut other leaves out from it. So I didn't want to cut this one in half. I'm just going to tuck that one in at the top, and then we will trim it. So it's actually going to come off my card base, which I always like to do. It kind of gives the card just a little bit of movement. And I kind of like that. I'm going to set my sentiment kind of off to the right and somewhat in the center. Very rarely do I like things perfectly centered on my cards. I like to have them offset just a little bit. For this card, you could stop right here. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be added, but I'm always willing to add just a little bit of glitter to my card. So I grabbed my glitter pen and just adding it from the centers of the flowers just to give it a little bit of accenting. That would be our second card. For our third card, I couldn't get enough of the die cuts and the paper. So I loved that one die cut that states "You keep me real." I think that is an excellent saying. It's right up there with "You keep me honest." So I used my tape runner. I'm going to adhere this to my card base that's within the kit, and I'm just going to go to town, and I'm going to have fun adhering these, whether I use my liquid glue or whether I use the foam squares that came in the kit. I am a liquid glue person. Now, again, the kit does come with double-sided tape, and it is strong. I will say that. And you get plenty. I still have some left over from other kits that I have gotten. I just keep it in my stash, and you get plenty. Foam squares, I go through foam squares. I'm ridiculous with foam squares and the number that I use. So you can see that all the die cuts, again, I'm kind of looking at the image that's on the sentiment that I used, the circle, and I did kind of dig around into that huge pile and find images and florals that were similar to that so that I could accent off of that. I'm just going to have this floral coming off on the one side, on the right hand side. I didn't want it to go around because I didn't want to take away from the circle that I chose. I didn't want to hide that wreath that's going around as well. Since I propped up the largest flower, I'm able to tuck some of these leaves up underneath it and the other flowers that I will be using. I don't like to cover the entire back of my floral or flower when I'm doing this, because as the glue dries, sometimes they'll curl up, so it'll add a level of texture, but I can also go around the edges and lift that up as well if I wanted to. For these leaves here, though, I am going to make sure that they're down and secured because they're kind of on their own. I don't want them to get caught in something. But I am going to trim the sides and the bottom for those that were overhanging. I did go in and I'm grabbing my key lime just to give a bit of splash for some enamel dots. For our next card, remember I said I fell in love with that paper. I knew there was going to be a card, and I knew I just had to play with the stamps. So when you have a piece of paper like this, or a piece of pattern paper, you know, you can just leave it on its own. It's absolutely gorgeous. Add your sentiment. Card is done, and it is absolutely beautiful. A card, to say that a card's beautiful does not mean that we have to work on it for hours. Okay? A card can be simply beautiful in 2 minutes. So what I did was I grabbed my Simon Says ink Fog, because it really dries back when it dries. I just wanted to add some faint flowers that are specifically going to be around where I'm putting the sentiment. I did not want to take away from that beautiful watercolor image that's already on the paper. So once that is dry, now again, when it comes to fog, it really dries back. This may look like it's very dark, but trust me, after it's dry, and it takes a good half hour, in my opinion, you can't hardly see it. It's very faint. It's like a shadow. It's like an afterthought. So once that was set, and you can see the ink does come through it, I'm going to use my double-sided foam tape. 2 reasons. I wanted this panel to be propped up, and 2, I ran out of foam squares. So I did have to pull in my double-sided foam tape. Again, I'm a maniac with it. I get very carried away. I'm going to put this onto my card base just so that I can have that dimension. I probably should have used like a piece of fun foam. But it's holding up very well. It's not sinking. I was afraid it was going to sink after I pressed down. And you can see I'm putting that sentiment right in the center where I stamped, so it can hide that gap. And it says, "Life is better with you." And that's all that was necessary for that. 5, I had a lot of fun. I really dug in. I dug into those 3D stickers, and I had way too much fun. So I grabbed my card base and I cut a piece of the pattern paper, and this measures 2 inches by 5 1/4. I grabbed one of the journaling cards. Again, I was just really onto that image of those florals, and you can see that they are double-sided. And I'm just going to add some foam squares to prop that up. Once that's on my card base, now I'm going to have some fun and layering. I love layering. I'm an art journal fan. I do design my own art journals. And I am one that I just keep layering and layering and layering, and clipping and all of that. I just like the look of it. I like the feel of it. And I think just by layering papers on top of each other, it gives you that texture. You really don't need foam squares, but you can intertwine paper. Paper's amazing to me of what we can do to it. We can shred it, we can wet it, we can dye it, we can tear it, we can wrinkle it, we can paint on it, we can stamp on it. and we can simply layer it. It's just amazing. And what's best, it's got two sides. So when we make those happy accidents, which is what I like to call them, it can be absolutely beautiful. So, keep that in mind when you're creating. Paper's paper. And that's why I always say, you got to keep going. There's never too many layers. It's only when we stop that it causes a problem. I did pull out my glitter pen again, but you didn't have to. There's some beautiful gold accents on these butterflies and on the feather. Again, all of these items work so well on their own. They really don't need any more embellishments from your stash. So if you're a beginner, this is perfect for you if you want to give card making a try. So as always, I give you some close-ups of the cards that we made in a normal speed so that you can take time and take them in. We kind of go really quick when it comes to the videos, just because we try not to make them too long. But I'm always in this range. But I hope you did enjoy this video, and please, I encourage you to check out the Spellbinders card kit of the month. They are just absolutely phenomenal. And it's not just 10 cards you can create so much more. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you do so. I'd love to have you here as part of my community, and maybe I can show you something new, or maybe you can let me know something new as well, because I learn from all of you also, which I think is wonderful. The products that I used will be listed down below. A link to the Card Kit Club will absolutely be down there as well. And also to their blog. Check out their blog. They have some beautiful inspirational pieces to get you going in our crafting endeavor. If you have a question or a comment, leave that down below as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, week, whatever it is that you're doing, but always remember what's most important for me. Always be creative.